Welcome to my channel. This is DIY with Jeannie, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I have this piece of material, and I've had it forever. Forever means multiple state moves. Anyway, it was a sample of all the different colors that this particular pattern came in, and it's really quite long, and it was another 10 inches longer. There was not enough fabric here to actually do a whole lot with, so I started looking at the simple grocery bags and thinking, well, that's a good bag for it. And then I came to a conclusion that what I'm going to do is make a satchel type bag out of it. So the base is going to be about the width of this teal color. And I cut off these so that it will be the sides. And then this linen is going to be the lining. So, I don't have a pattern. I am winging it. So what we're going to do is we are going to put the pieces together and see what happens. So this is the side I cut. This is where I cut it. And so this is going to be the bag inside. And that's not going to show anyway. So we're just going to, like I said, we're winging this. I'm going to have to cut a piece of fabric that is this wide because I want to include the side seams. And so if I make it that width, it should, I'll make a big rectangle that is the correct width, and it should make the correct pocket on the inside. But we're going to see what happens. So let's get cutting. I've got this piece done. It will have the part that comes over, and I'm going to put Velcro to close it because I think that would be the easiest. And it's going to be just a bag that I carry when we're on trips and things, when we go out for the day, and I can just continually drop things in it. And I think that will work. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I went and sewed along this seam, and at the base here, what I did was I turned the corner so that I'm going to have that bottom already done. So let me show you how I did that. So see how it's on here like so. I want to turn this so that this seam is now going along the base here. So we're just going to, and I don't use pins anymore because I found that I ended up bleeding on every project that I made because I kept stabbing myself. So I use these little clips, and they are so good because you can put a row in. They're easy to take out as you're sewing. They don't stab you. And if you get a number of them in here, and I decide, like, what I'll do is if I'm putting these two fabrics together, but then I wanted to put a third layer, then I could do it one clip at a time, and it keeps everybody else secure. So that is not good right there. You want to make sure that you're in that fabric, not in the rough, if you will. And if you sew over it, it's not that big of a deal because you're going to trim it off anyway, and it is going to not show because it is in the lining is going to be there. So there we go. We've got that. I'm going to sew this strip, and then we will turn this corner and do the last strip, and then we'll start working on the lining and getting it put together. So let me go sew this real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and sew these edges. So let me just show you again how this works, because I have to make another 90 here. Sure I got that. Yep, got that all good. So I'm just going to turn it and see how it's, you can clip it, but I just go ahead and pinch it, and I'll sew over that little spot. in, put my clip in. And I actually think these colors, the fact that it is so many different colors and they don't match up on the sides or on the, on the other edges, I am actually digging that. I think that is just awesome. So we'll take a couple more clips and do along the side, and you'll notice that gives me that whole panel without having to make this cut. So I'll be right back. Okay, so all the seams are sewn here. I've got the bottoms done. Let me turn it right side out so that you can see what it looks like with the corners, and see how those corners really just came out perfect from sewing it that way. That corner. I left a gap here because I'm going to have to sew in the lining, and I want to be able to get it on all of those edges. And there is that. Now, I didn't do the rough edges yet. That's going to be like the final thing, is to go back and look at all the edges. But for now, what I've got is I took the measurements off the finished bag, and it kind of made, it looks a little bit like a pillowcase. And I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. I measured completely across, which was 15 inches. I knew I needed 18 inches tall, and then I left this tab on top for the flap. So I wanted to make sure I had the flap. So what I'm going to do is go to 2 straight lines down the side, and then I'll come back and show you how to box these corners so that they match the boxes in those corners. So let's go to sewing, and I'll sew down both sides, then I'll come back and show you that corner. Okay, now I have my little bag sewn up. It's just, seriously, it's a pillowcase. Now, to do square off corners, go down to the bottom where the bottom of your bag would be, and you want to fold it. And I know there's a lot of different ways, but this is so much easier for me. Once I learned this, I'm like, yep, not doing it the other way. I never can make the edges match up, so nope. So what I want is, I want the same here, diameter, not diameter, width here and here, so that it matches. So I'm going to put my corner to corner, and I'm going to take my pen, and I'm just using a regular pen because I'm going to be cutting this off. And I am just going to mark where that seam is. Okay, so now I have that marked. I can take my ruler, and I want to line it up really good. Actually, let me put that on the line so that I'm sure I'm getting it straight. And I'm just going to draw across. Now, I'm going to go sew across that seam, but I'm going to do the other side as well. And then I'll come back and show you how well that boxes that corner. So let's do our other seam. Biggest problem is because it is not flat material, if you will, it doesn't like to lay flat. So again, I want it to go side to side. Measure this and put my ruler on, even with that line, so that that line is straight in there. And mark it. And I'll go sew it, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I will be right back. I'm just going to do a straight edge right here, and then I'll come back and cut it so you can see it. Okay, So we are cut. I'm going to go in and trim these, and then I'll show you what it looks like because I have to turn it right side out anyway. So, see, you can cut a corner off like that at the beginning, and I see a lot of people do that. It just, for some reason, does not work for me. And I don't know, it's probably me. Let's just be honest. So I'm just going to go through, cut this off, cut my stray strings off, because I don't need them. Now, show you how that corners that bag. Now see how that just made a nice flat bottom for that bag. And I really didn't have to do anything. It was a straight seam up the side, straight seam across, made a little T, and I have this beautiful boxed bag. So now I don't have to worry about that. So what I'm going to do next is I want to put right sides together. So this one is inside out. This one's right side out. So right sides together. I'm just going to pop it in. And before I completely sew it, I am going to add Velcro strips down here. And then once it's sewn, I'll put the Velcro strips on top so that the Velcro will be on the outside, and when it flops over, they'll Velcro down. So that is where we are going next. We're going to sew this in. I'm just going to sew around the edges, like so, all the way around, all the way up the side, and then I want to leave a gap about 2 inches open up here. I'm going to put my tag on here. I'm going to put the Velcro on this piece once we get it all together, and then I will show you the finished product. But this has taken no time at all. So I will be back to show you the next step with the Velcro, with the Velcro already on, with my tag on, and we'll be back to finish up. Okay, everything is sewn in. I will go back and cut some of these threads, but most of them will be fine because they'll be on the inside. I did have to cut a notch that size because remember we only went halfway, but we left this whole tab, so that piece had to be cut off, and I've already done that. Now I left an opening up here, but I want to show you a trick before I turn it right side out. I want to show you something that I saw on another YouTube channel, which poof, blew my mind. I mean, blew my mind. I had never and would never have thought of this. And when I saw it, I thought, ah, that is brilliant. When you leave your seam allowance, your openings, so that you can turn it right side out, sew away from your project, sew out towards the seam, because when you fold it, when you push it through, I've got my Velcro done, it is going to, let me show you, automatically want to flip that little piece of fabric. You know how you want to turn it in to sew it? Just by having it sewn just that little bit, it automatically wants to flip that. So I'll show you as we go along. Let me show you how this works. Get the bag out. Get this bag out first. And then start trimming the other one. Because remember, this one was done and sewn in just now which is a good thing. It does make for bulk. Pull the bottom through, and I can slowly work everything else through. I could have left the opening open bigger, but I really don't need to, and leaving it open just means that I have more to make sure I get tucked in and sewn in. Bottom corner, there's the bottom corner. Go in and fix that with my hand. See, we're all done. Like a and push that out, push that out, push that out, push that out. Okay, see how it wants to push itself already? It wants to just curl those corners in. I saw that on someone else's channel. She goes, just sew it in and it automatically wants to push those in. And I went, all this time I have fought those things. And now all I have to do is go press it and it'll be ready to sew around the edges. But anyway, so I got everything turned out. I'm going to put the bag back inside. Okay, so what I did was I stitched around the seam, around this seam, around this seam, and I did not stitch in the ditch. I did not go back and stitch in here because I think it's going to be fine now that I have the edges done. I have my Velcro on, like that, little strings out, and I think it turned out super cute. So what we will do is I will design some handles for it, and that we will do on our next video is put some handles on here so I can tote it around and have it for all of my goodies. And this was a sample that was for a fabric company, so they sent it out to certain fabric stores. This happens to be an indoor-outdoor fabric, or an upholstery fabric, not indoor-outdoor, upholstery fabric, to show them the colors that were available. And now I've made it into this bag that can go anywhere with me and look super stylish. And I happen to love all the colors that are on it. I think it's amazing. And the sides match. So each other, they don't match the front and the back, but that's okay because I like it that way. So there is our adorable little bag. I will get the handle made for our next video. We'll go over how to make a handle, and then this will be ready to go. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Tell me what you would like to see. Do you like the multicolor? Do you think that's a cool way to do it? And this was done with something that would have just been thrown away. So I like the fact that we repurposed something that was, for lack of a better term, just garbage. I don't like to throw things away when they are this nice, because that's a lot of work that someone, even on a machine, that's a lot of work that someone had to monitor and make sure the colors were right and send out. And I think it came out just adorable. So we'll do handles next, and I hope to see you then. This is Jeannie again from DIY with Jeannie, and appreciate you spending your time with us today.